When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Loud. Good morning, Jim.
Morning, Jake.
All right, so it sounds good on Sam Darnold. Looks like just a bruise. You should be able to play through that on Sunday against the Packers.
Yeah, best possible news. He was banged up a little bit, but no structural damage, so he's good to go. And it's just amazing how much the Vikings landscape has changed since midsummer, when you might have had some fans hoping Darnold to get hurt so McCarthy would play. Instead, Darnold is the flavor of the month. He's having a great month, and people are really rallying. Both his teammates and fans are rallying around him.
Yeah, it is interesting, like you said, that if McCarthy were healthy and Darnold was off to this kind of start, would there just be less talk of McCarthy getting in there? I mean, because typically, if you draft a rookie in the first round, a lot of fans want to see that rookie play.
Yeah, but I think if McCarthy were healthy and Darnold were playing like this, I think fans would be very happy to see Darnold keep playing, and they'd feel good about the fact that if Darnold ever got hurt, McCarthy could step in. I think you just can't play much better than Darnold has so far.
Yeah, you can't complain with the results, 3-0, no doubt. How about Jordan Addison? Is he going to play on Sunday against the Packers?
Sounds like yes. Sounds like he will be back. I don't know yet about Dallas Turner or Ivan Pace, but I think they're going to be pretty healthy going into this game.
Is Hawkinson getting closer?
Well, yeah, I mean, he has to sit out 4, so this would be the 4th week. He's forced to sit out by rule, so he would be eligible the following week. I wonder if they want his comeback game to be fly to London, deal with being a place where you don't have all the team facilities, fly back, or whether they will wait at least one more week after this.
Isn't it kind of amazing how the Vikings have been able to have the success that they've had, not only offensively but defensively, by doing so with playing without all of their starters?
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody has some injuries. The Vikings have had injuries. They haven't had devastating injuries. They haven't had an injury to their quarterback that affected them. They haven't lost their starting running back. They haven't lost their best defensive players. They haven't lost Justin Jefferson. So, yeah, everybody has some injuries. I'm sure you told a general manager before the season started, okay, your only really significant injury early in the season is going to be your number 2 receiver. Everybody else is going to be healthy. They'd take it.
Jim, the Buffalo Bills improved to 3-0, joining the Vikings and a few other teams at that 3-0 mark. They did so in dominating fashion over the Jaguars. Your thoughts on the Bills?
Well, Bills are a really good team. They know how to win. Josh Allen is a force. They can run the ball probably better now than they have in a long time. They don't have star wideouts anymore, but they can move the ball through the air. 2 tight ends who can catch the ball, good offensive line, good defense. I think it's more interesting the other side. I mean, it kind of shows you how hard it is to build a winner when you look at Jacksonville. Number 1 pick in the draft, guy who was a great college quarterback, looks like a big, strong, perfect, NFL quarterback, and he's not very good. A great college running back. He's pretty good, but not great. A coach who's won a Super Bowl before. He can't seem to find the right buttons to push. Some talent at receiver. They can't get him the balls. I mean, it just shows you how important what the Vikings are doing, in two realms. Number 1, bringing in the right people. And number 2, having those people all work together in a way that makes people look better, not worse, when they're playing next to each other.
How do you brought up all the talent that should be there in Jacksonville. Is there something wrong with how things are going? Is it coaching? Is it the atmosphere? Is it the players? What is it?
I think when you look at franchises that really struggle to ever gain footing, you have to look at ownership and general managers. I mean, that's where it all really begins. But, when you spend a high draft pick on a quarterback, you owe it to yourself to give him every chance to succeed. Do we know that Trevor Lawrence is really a good NFL quarterback? He makes a nice throw once in a while, but is he really the guy who's going to take you someplace? Increasingly, the answer looks like no. And Doug Peterson, he won a Super Bowl. We saw him outcoach Bill Belichick in a Super Bowl at US Bank Stadium. He obviously can coach, but, you never know when you get a coach second or third time around, are they still, I remember when Jimmy Johnson became the coach of the Miami Dolphins. He wasn't the same guy who turned the Cowboys into a powerhouse. It was more of a retirement job. So you just don't know exactly what the mindset you're getting when you get a coach on the rebound.
Jim, how about the Commanders who go to 2-1, dropping the Bengals to 0-3? Jaden Daniels threw for a couple of touchdowns, ran for one. He looks like an amazing athlete. Thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I said all offseason I like Jaden Daniels more than Caleb Williams. I feel much better about that today than I even felt then. Accurate. Excellent runner, but not just a runner. Great feet in the pocket. He can make people miss. He seems to know when to run, when to get down. Very accurate. You can tell the team's rallying around him. He was known as a leader, highly competitive, but he's already very good, and he's only going to get better.
Jim, the Twins start a 3-game series against the Miami Marlins tonight. They're currently a game back of both the Tigers and Royals. Seattle won, so they're only a half game back of the Twins. 4 teams for 2 spots. Should be an interesting next 6 days.
Yes. Twins do have the tiebreak on pretty much all the teams they're competing with. So, who knows exactly? The thing about races, you don't know how many games they need to win. Logic would dictate they're going to need to win 4 or 5 to have a chance to pull into a tie with Detroit and or the Royals and get the tie break and stay ahead of the Mariners. But we don't know. One of these teams could win their next 6 games and really, grab those spots. We'll see. Ober, Richardson, Festa lined up for this series. Weathers is a good pitcher, and he's a lefty they're facing today. Cabrera, they should be able to hit. They're playing, but 2 of the 3 Marlins pitchers are pretty good. They're just going to have to take good at bats. They're going to have to hit in the clutch, and they need their pitchers to really, really limit the amount of times they have to go to the bullpen.
And then watching the scoreboard starts this afternoon when the Tigers play at a home game against the Rays at 12:10. So, and the Royals play the Nationals, and the Nationals have been awful this year. And it looks like Cole Reagans is pitching for the Royals, so that gives them a decided advantage. And Seattle plays against Houston tonight, and Houston still needs a win to clinch their division.
Right. A million variables. And as we've seen this season, you don't really know how any team's going to play at any given moment. It's just going to be a fascinating week. I wish, if the Twins had surged into this position, this would be a lot of fun. The fact they've just collapsed to get to this position really, sometimes I chide Minnesota sports fans for just being, so whiny and discouraged all the time. But this team has been discouraging. This has been a horrifying week, month to 6 weeks. They've just played horribly. And I do question if they can turn it around here in the short term.
It does feel like the Tigers have been surging, the Twins have been going the opposite direction. But what do they always say in baseball, that momentum is the next day's starting pitcher?
Yes, which is one of my favorite things in sports. It should be applied to all sports. There's no such thing as momentum, but it's especially true in baseball. You're changing your pitcher. You're starting fresh every day. And how many times in the past have you seen teams turn it around for no apparent reason? How many times have you seen a team get destroyed one day and win big the next? I can't defend this team or the way they've played, but I will say that doesn't mean they won't make the playoffs. It's all about math. It's not about emotions.
How much has Royce Lewis's health impacted his performance this back half of the year, which he has not looked as good as he has looked?
Yeah, I think to play amateur psychologist and amateur doctor, he was performing so well. He was their best player. Felt like he was delivering in every clutch situation. And then he had the little injury, and then he probably tried to play through the injury a lot. I really think, I think Duran has not had the year he could have had because he had that oblique injury early, and he was always kind of catching up. I do think that the injury caused Royce to go into a slump, and I don't think he's known how to get out of that slump mentally once he was in it.
And didn't he say early on that he just doesn't slump?
Yep. He said, I don't do that slump thing, something like that. And listen, we could tease him about that. The spirit in which I took it was he doesn't want to think in a way that would accept a slump. I think that's what he's trying to say. He didn't want to give in to the notion that everybody slumps and it's just inevitable. He wanted to be able to fight through that thing. He has not been able to fight through it. And he's still a great personality. I still think he's going to be a great player long term. But I think what you see right now is a young guy trying too hard. And you can't try too hard in baseball. Trying too hard leads to you swinging at pitches that are out of the strike zone, and that's what he's doing right now.
Jim, we saw the Reds fire their manager. Rocco, is he pretty solid as far as his job stability?
I believe so. Here's the thing. I do not believe Derek Falvey would fire Rocco Baldelli, especially when the most obvious problem with his team has been injuries. The X factor, the variable here is Joe Pohlad. He is fairly young. He is new to running a baseball franchise. He's probably embarrassed by the way this team is playing. How will he react if they don't make the playoffs? That I don't know.
Jim, some other things going on in the Minnesota Wild. They're underway with their training camp. They started training camp on a Thursday last week, and then they play their first preseason game on a Saturday. There's just no messing around when it comes to hockey. They jump into games right away. What is your outlook on this Wild team this year?
I think they're an average team. And by the way, Boldy's already suffered an injury, and they're hoping he'll be back for the opener, but it's not a great way to start your camp. I don't know. I just don't see a lot of hope. Could they be decent? Could they get one of the last playoff spots? That's possible, but I just don't see where they've improved.
One last thing. I think I forgot to mention this when we were talking about the Vikings-Packers game. Jordan Love looks like he's been practicing. Is he likely to start against the Vikings Sunday?
I don't think we know yet. I don't think the Packers want us to know. I think the Packers want them to have to prepare for Jordan Love and for Malik Willis, who's played spectacularly well the last couple of weeks. My gut says that Jordan Love will end up starting on Sunday, but that's a pure guess.
All right, Jim, what do you got in your podcast?
We have the Viking Update show up today. A good show on a great topic right now. We'll have John Krasinski's show out on the Timberwolves and the Lynx. Minnesota basketball out here shortly. Everything's at talknorth.com or on your favorite podcast app.
All right, Jim, thank you. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thanks, Jay.
It's Jim Souhan, Star Tribune sports columnist, joining us every weekday morning at this time. Follow him on Twitter at SouhanStrib. Check out his latest column in the Star Tribune or his podcast at talknorth.com. Jim, once again today, brought to you by the Green Mill in downtown St. Cloud. Next on WJON, World and National News from ABC, and that's brought to you by Executive Express.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.